universities used to snow, but this was a little over the top. But I also want you to think also about when you go home. I know many of you have been, dealing with, the problems and issues at home. And you've just had what I assure you, all your coworkers view as probably one of the top plums in the labor movement. You've been at Harvard University, you've been at the trade union program, the oldest, most prestigious labor program in the world, modestly.
And we say so.
And there's and it's sort of funny because I know a lot of you when you first came here, we tried to fake it a little bit, but it's just Harvard, so what, etc. And then you started to drop the Harvard name, and people say, Harvard, Harvard, And then all of a sudden you met these people, and some of them, you look in the newspaper, and, Richard Freeman, he's in the New York Times today, they're quoting him, right? And when you go home, you'll be in the same sort of, you now have a repertoire of wonderful names that you can drop and impress people. And one of the difficulties is that often when you do that, you really piss people off. And the problem is you're going home having probably had that wonderful privilege, and the privilege isn't being at Harvard, the privilege is being away from your job for 6 weeks and being able to think about the problems, the issues, and the big picture, which we all know in our own union is very rare. If you get to think big picture, it's like maybe a retreat for a weekend, but it's never 6 weeks with other really knowledgeable people who you will know and probably run into at least some for the rest of your life. And the people at home, some of your coworkers, and definitely your family, have been carrying a heavy load while you were here. And most of them, not all, most of them will be very generous about it and sort of say, well, I'm really glad, and there's a couple of things. One is, I really encourage you to go home and be very nice and really thank them for, putting up with not being there, and secondly, with folks who, a lot of folks you'll want to talk about the experience. It's a really interesting experience. You've probably got a lot of ideas. And we really urge people, there's a term called the new broom, and it goes along with everybody hates the new broom. And there's a real tendency to want to go home and, man, I know how to think strategically. We need to think strategically. And Monday morning, by God, we're going to talk about stuff. Some have done that. Generally, they foam me in tears. No, it just doesn't go over. Also, you'll run into people who will say, hey, I understand you're in Harvard. How was the experience? And if you're not careful, you'll want to do an information dump, and their eyes will glaze over. So my own view, and I'm sure Linda will agree with me, is it's really good to sort of take a deep breath, go back, and don't try to initiate anything for a little bit of time. Let it sink in a little bit more, because my experience is people who go home and are really excited, et cetera, and want to, man, I'm going to kick ass, we're going to really get going here, usually get their ass handed to them and kicked itself. So I sort of would make that a suggestion. That's not a suggestion that you completely forget about it, put the books on the shelf and never think about it again, but really do think about sort of holding back for just even a little bit. And another thing we find is that some people go home and they actually get depressed for a little while because they've seen how fun it is, how truly enjoyable it is to be able to meet with other peers and talk about ideas and the future of the labor movement and think big. So, there's not much you can do about that depression except try to change things a bit. Make it possible to do that occasionally in your own union, whether it's with people of a peer level to take some time out. I've really pushed strategic planning, and everybody we bring in, from Linda to David to Barry, etc., at least part of what we're pushing is that, you know, is understanding where we need to go is about having that larger picture. As not something that, I hope we've convinced you, should be reserved for one or two people 20 years from now when they reach the pinnacle. Because by that point, if you haven't been doing it when you arrive there, you can't do it. It's only, you know, and we've also done a lot on leadership, and I think it was yesterday with Gautam Mukunda who said, you know, leadership isn't just a position, it's an action. It's not, you know, leadership can take place in a whole lot of layers throughout a movement. And that's why I never let anybody say, I'm just a rank and filer. I'm saying, you're a leader. You're a leader. If you're in this class, you know, your obligation is to be a leader, no matter what the title is in your name. Now, a couple of personal notes. I really am sorry that the weather was so bad, for which I don't take responsibility. But it did mean that, you know, some of the people, you know, we were maybe, I maybe looked a little more fretful than usual, like, you know, answering the phone, instead of saying hello, I'm saying, what now? You know? So I apologize for that, but I really want to thank you as a group. Knocking wood, nobody ended up in hospital.
Yes.
You are only the second class in 26 years that pulled that off. So, you know, I'm knocking wood because there's one more day, and I know you like to, you know, nothing like a goal. I also recognize some of you, you know, have not been in an environment like this before. By that I mean acres of snow. You know, you've had various problems and challenges thrown your way. And, you know, for the most part, people were here on time, even when the rest of Harvard was closed, yes. So I want to thank you for that. And I regret that I wasn't able to get out and spend a little more time with you, but, you know, you certainly have my address and phone number. I've handed out a few more people. We put together the PowerPoint as promised on a disc, and sometimes Lorette will have your list of all your contact information for all of you, and so we'll be able to, you'll be able to contact each other, but also, you know, you're permanently connected here. You will see that, you know, we can tell you who was in the class of 1942, who was in the spring session of 1975. So we have a permanent record, and you know, this program has outlived a lot of us, and is, I believe, now in a situation where it will be a permanent feature and a wonderful place in Harvard University. And you and your colleagues before you and after you are part of the story of how that happens. And last but not least, how I recruit for the program and the people I take the most seriously in recommendations are people who've already been through the program. Because, you know, the brochure is rather boring. Linda designed it 26 years ago.
Nice.
Yes, and I haven't changed it. I changed the date. I put the money up a little bit, but essentially it's the same day. Yeah, really. So, as I said, there's no such thing as plagiarism in the labor movement, it's called sharing. But the advantage of people who've been through the program, you know who was here, you know who in your organization it would be valuable to. And many of the people from organizations that have never been to the program before come because somebody they know from, I was pointing to Adam because I know he heard about the program from other people, Canadians who he knew, who had been in the program. So one of the ways, you know, some people have asked, oh, is somebody here from that union? So if you see somebody who you think is appropriate for the program, you know, I'm happy to contact them, but even better if you, and often when people, before people come to the program, we'll say, oh, you know, you're from this union in this area, go talk to so-and-so, they're a graduate of the program, so that, you know, you get a sense. So, yes.
But, Linda, do me a favor, can you pull up that first, yeah, if you could.
Yes.
Quick question. Sex on the mind. What was that a picture of? Yeah, put it down. That was sex, yeah.
What's on your mind?
It's been a long winter.
Well, now you know, I can't spell and she can't draw. So. Lillian.
You guys, it's been an emotional roller coaster for me this last week. And when I got the letter that I was accepted to this program, I would have never seen myself here. And I found out 2 days before the deadline about this program when I was researching scholarships for law school, because I wanted to know what the labor movement needed. Did they need attorneys? Did they need people that, you know, studied labor history because of things that have gone on in my workplace, and seeing that my mother retired when she was 71 years old and she skips her medicine? And so I want to thank you, Elaine, for having this program for people like us, for working class people. I did not have any confidence when I came here, but I have it now. And I've got 43 mentors and a support system that I know that I can pick up the phone and call if I need help. You know? And I plan to
all the
be...
movement is short of is people like you. Just remember that, man. Just remember that. Just remember that.
We'll be offended if you don't call.
Honestly, be like, is this Lillian again? Thank you.
And I can hop on a ferry and be there in an hour. There you go, right there.
Anyway, this is, you know, this has been quite a group, and I keep, I know Greg has enjoyed, he's been able to sit in. I'm very happy that he's been able to mostly shovel. Truth be told, and sit in and, you know, Greg, here's the car, go get this, go get that. So it's really nice. You see, this is a model example of how to exploit be there tomorrow. We'll have, you know, it's always, I've found the graduations very emotional. I have to tell you, Linda knows this, you know, I mean, actually, I have 3 university degrees, and I've never been, my first university graduation I went to was the Harvard Trade Union program in 1990. It's the only graduation I ever go to in a university, and it's really one of the most joyous and meaningful, because, you know, it's what's sad about it is that you can see in the class sort of realizing great pride, but also realization that something happened, and what happened is represented by all the people here, and the realization that very shortly they're going to spread out across the globe, and that particular group will never be together again. But yet they have done what we say the labor movement should do, is because when they spread out, they have links back to people going right back to 1942 from all around the world who've been through this program, and they have links by their action to next year's class, the class after that, and the others. And it's sort of a little organic and little representation of what the program itself is. So anyway, I want to thank you. I don't get misty-eyed or anything. I just slip into swearing. So anyway, thank you very much. And out and singing numerous times. Numerous times, chanting and all the rest. And remember, we have one more session, which I know is something I'm really looking forward to. Reverend James Dawson and labor, racism, and justice in the 21st century.